Yo, what's up, beautiful people? This is your boy Oscar Ntege again with yet another amazing tutorial. Guys, it's been very long since I did a tutorial with you guys because it's been a hassle. I've been all around moving and trying to, making ends meet. Yes, life has been happening, and yes, guess what? I'm back to give you more and more of amazing tutorials that are going to help you make your photography better, make your retouching way much better than it was. The goal is to help you grow your craft and add value to what you already have. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to dive into this tutorial. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to edit lips and lipstick. When you look at this particular image, the lipstick really wasn't perfect enough. The intention of the makeup artist was to do an ombre kind of lip, but when you look at this, we have dark patches here that we have to smoothen out. We have to remove all these things and make all these highlights, these white dots you're seeing in the picture. I don't know whether the screen you're able to see all these, but what we want to do is perfect the lipstick so that they look more succulent and kissable, if I may say. So in this tutorial, that is what we're going to do. You need to follow along, and yeah, let's dive into it. Let me not take a lot of your time. For you who want to know how I did the skin retouching and all that, you can check out my tutorial up just in the link up there and see my frequency separation tutorial I did about skin retouching and the rest. But for now, we're just going to look at how to edit lipstick and lips. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. You're going to duplicate this layer twice. If you know what frequency separation is, it's the same technique we are going to use when editing these lips. So you create these two layers. This, we're going to rename it as lip color, and the upper layer is going to be renamed lip texture. So as you know that when you're doing using frequency separation as a technique, you have to separate the textures from the highlight, from the tones. So this lower layer is going to be the tones, the reds, the pinks you see. This is now the layer, and this upper layer, it is the texture, those lines you see, the pores on the lips and all that. So that is what we are going to do. That is how we're going to do this. So you come into this lower layer filter, you turn off the eye of this, you select the lip color layer, come to filter, say Gaussian blur, then let's take it to 0. You come and you blur this out until you see that these lines are no longer visible. They're visible but not overly visible. You blur them out in a way that you no longer see those sharp lines too. That's it. I think the 5 would be okay because I'm not seeing the lines anymore. They are freely gone. Don't blur it out till the lips are no longer visible. You blur it out in such a way that you can still recognize the fact that these are lips, but you blur it out in such a way that you lose out on that sharp texture. So you say okay. So we come and select this upper layer again. We turn back the eye icon. Then you come and say here image, apply image. You come and select now we want to subtract the texture of the lips off this downer layer. So we shall come and choose this lip color here, downer layer. You come and say here it has to be subtract, keep the opacity to 100. The offset has to be at 128 because that is where exactly all colors, the RGB, the red, green and blue are all at 50. So the offset usually is at 128. Keep the scale at 2. Just copy this as is and just say okay. So you come here and turn this to linear light. So now here's the deal. Now to smoothen the texture out, we are going to use a clone stamp first. We are first going to remove these dark patches so that we have it, you know, all well patched up. So you come and change the blending mode here to lighten. We are going to reduce the opacity of this. So what we want, if you look at these lips, these dark patches here all around, these are the ones we want to first remove. Sorry about that. So you come and clone here and just come and paint over here slowly like that. Yeah, they may not really go just like that. Yeah, the difference may not be very, very big, but it's always there. So now the next thing we are going to do, we are going to remove these white dots, these ones that make the image look a bit cheap. We are going to take it back to our normal blending mode and then increase this to 100. So let us just clone this out. You can use any other tool to remove this, like a spot healing tool and all that, to remove such. The whole goal is not to make the lips smooth, but to make them look more succulent and not overly, like they are overly dry. I know this is a matte lipstick, we still have to maintain that, remember. Now these grooves too, in my opinion, are too deep. So what you do about them, you still come here and change this to lighten. We don't want to remove them, but we just want to lighten them up so that they are not overly deep, you know. So you come, change this to lighten. Let us reduce the flow and opacity to around I think 30 by 30 will do. So you come here, do that and just clone. Like I said, the goal is not to remove them, but to reduce their depth so that the lips look succulent enough, like that. Because when you remove them again, the lips will look too smooth and robotic lips. She may end up looking like these dummies we see in boutiques that don't have these cracks in the lips, you know. And since she's African, you want to maintain really her full lips, not crushing them. So that is where her beauty is. Now basically we are just lightening up these cracks in the lips. Now let me put this in a group so that we are able to see our before and after. That is the before and that is the after. The before and after, before, after, before. You see how we've done this. So now it is time to smoothen this lipstick so that it is very gradual all through. So we are going to come here, going to change this to 10, the feather to 10, using this particular tool, and then we select this, and then you come here, filter, you say Gaussian blur. So we're going to just smoothen it out just like that. We come also here and also do the same, and then we smoothen this out just like that. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to change this lip liner so that we make it perfect. Yeah, how do we do this? We're going to use a pen tool to do this so that we have that lip liner very, very perfect, you know, so that we have the lips really, you know, having the lipstick looking very, very fancy and fine, like those lipsticks ads you see in magazines. So this is what we are going to do. So we're going to get the pen tool, just place it at the beginning, and then we pass it just at the edge of the lips, right there. Then we come also here, and we are first going to work on this particular part. Well, some people prefer selecting the whole lip and working on it as a whole, but I prefer selecting it in portions because it gives me more perfection, but it doesn't matter, it depends. So we're going to make a selection, feather this to 3, depending on the 3, depending on the size of the image. You can feather any lower, or or not even feather, but this image is quite big, so we're going to do say okay. So we're going to use the clone stamp, increase the opacity back to 100. So inside the lip we are going to say darken, because remember she was trying to do like an ombre lip. So we're going to come here and say darken, and then we come and clone towards the edge, and clone towards the edge like that. Remember, it has to be the color layer that is selected in this particular case, like that. So we are going to carry this tool and then right click and say select inverse. So selecting inverse, we are going to change now, still select to change the blending mode of the clone stamp here to lighten, because remember the outer part has to contrast with the inner part of the lip. So here is the thing, so we're going to turn this to lighten. So we still come and select a part that does not have a color flash, and then you just paint towards the edge, just like that. Basically, for those of you who are familiar with makeup, it is like applying concealer on the upper part of the lip to create emphasis on the lipstick, So that is how perfect it look. The reason as to why we feathered at 3 is because we didn't want it to look overly sharp, overly artificial. We wanted it to look seamless and natural, Then you come and select this other side of the lip as well, like that, select this, right click, say make selection. We are still feathering at 3, so we come still here using the clone stamp. We're going to change the blending mode to darken, and then we paint all over here like that, darken like that. So that is done. We change and select inverse. Still we pick our clone stamp, change the blending mode to lighten, and then you select, and then lighten and squash off these run down lipstick like that, just like that. And remove also these dark patches just beside, so that we get those seamless, get it to perfection like that. At the end of the day, it is these small things that make the difference, that somebody looks at your images and they're like, there is something about these guys' images. They may not really reach out and say the lips are all done perfect, but it is these little things that make the whole difference. They go barely noticed, but they make a very, very, very big difference on how cheap or how expensive your high-end images look. So we're going to work on the lower lip, Now when you look at the lower lip, we don't have this edge really as clearly demarcated as it was for the upper lip. But what we are going to do, we are going to assume, you know, and draw at least like a rough line around, like there. That is okay. We select this particular part like that. So the difference here is that we're going to make the feather a bit bigger than the upper lip, since the line is a bit blurry. So what we are going to do, we're going to make selection and make the feather, put the feather at 4. Yeah, and still we get this. You say darken. Guys, don't leave us yet, because there is something that I want to show you towards the end of the tutorial that is even going to make these lips more pop. It's not just about the lining. I'm just going to share with you that Hollywood technique they use for most of the celebrity pictures. Still we darken the edges just like that, and then we select inverse still, and then change the blending mode. I know this is taking quite long, but by the end of the video it will be worth it. You know, you will never watch this again, yeah, unless you've forgotten. But this is something new you've added today to your bank of knowledge, and your pictures won't be the same really. So we come still here, and this side do the same. I'm going to be a bit fast here, then make selection. We are still feathering at 4. Here we say darken, and then we darken inside like that. So we are not going to touch this lower part of the lip because it usually looks perfect, you know. Then you say, sorry, you come around and say select inverse, and we do the same thing, change the blending mode to lighten, and then we come and patch it up like that, just like that, you know. Now the other thing still about the texture, when you look at this part, there is usually a lining of lipstick, yeah, that comes in between the pink and this, especially when the lipstick is dark. Most of the times, now that is what I'll show you how to paint it up, but these particular lips almost match the color. So what we're going to do, we're just going to come here and just remove, sorry, we are going to first change this blending mode and take it back to normal. We're just going to come and remove this lining that usually comes here, and like that. So that we do it to perfection. Let us look at how before and after right now, you know, and you guys see where we've come from. That was the before and after. See how we've toned down the lipstick and given it that kind of flashy look. Yeah, it is now all perfect. So the next thing we're going to do, we want to make these lips pop a bit, you know, so that we have the colors pop and looking more expensive, you know, so that it doesn't have that faded look it has. So what we are going to do, you select the lip color layer and create a new layer, a new empty layer right above it. So basically this has to be in between the texture and the lip layer, you know. The empty layer has to be in between the texture and the lip layer. So what you do, you come and get your color picker, rather your brush, then press your Alt key and pick a color, you know, pressing your Alt key with the color picker, and then paint over. Make sure the opacity is in 100, the brush. So we're going to pick a color, you know, like a general color of the whole upper lip, and then paint it over there all around the upper lip. Since it was an ombre, there is a particular pink color he intended to put up here. So we are going to come here still and do get with our color, pressing Alt with the brush, and then you sample that color again and then paint it. You make sure the brush you're using is soft. We do the same thing for the lower lip. You still come and pick a general color here and then paint it right below. Right there. Make sure the brush is soft, guys. Don't use a graphical brush. So the next thing you're going to do is come to here at filter with this color layer selected and say blur. You say Gaussian blur. You know, the Gaussian blur just helps you blend those colors more. So the more you take it, let me just zoom it out. So it just helps you blend them more, depending on how blended you really want them. Right there. Then we are going to change the blending mode to soft light. You know, look at that. From that to that, that to that. So what we are going to do, we are just going to create an adjustment layer right next to this layer by clicking this mask, and then you get your brush and then paint around the lips so that you clear off the splashed Gaussian blur colors. So right now we are going to reduce the opacity of this so that we keep it a bit subtle. Just that and that, and boom, we are done with editing lips. Let us look at our before and after. Again, that is the before and that is the after. Before and after, before and after. Now imagine, how wouldn't somebody really pay you exorbitant amounts of money for this particular kind of craft? Let me just show you one last thing that you could add on to these lips. We can even make them like heart-shaped lips. So what we do, we create like a screenshot of this particular image. You know, you just press Ctrl, Alt, Shift, and E at the same time in order to create a screenshot of all the effects that have been taking place. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to just come and say filter, and we say liquify. You know, current Photoshop has those particular elements that just help you even make the upper lip big or small, but this time we're going to do it manually. You're going to click onto the advanced and we come here, make sure your brush is big, and then just enlarge it a bit. The pressure, keep it at around 50, 40, you know, because you don't want the pressure to be high. Get this tool here, the forward warp tool, and then just raise it a bit up. You want this side to balance with this, and you give it like that kind of a heart shape, just the upper lip. I see the Kardashians even go and do injections to get these kinds of full lips, which Africans are really endowed with, you know. So what we are doing, we're just balancing it up so that they look even sweeter. We're giving her heart-shaped lips, you know, and then boom, let us see. So we're going to drop this in here. Now let us look at the before and after. Before, after, before and after, before and after. Can you imagine the magic? Now that's that for today's tutorial. I hope to see you in my next tutorial. If you have not yet subscribed, please take a minute and subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you in my next tutorial. Share this video with a friend who wants to learn more about photo retouching, and I'll see you next time. My next video is going to be about coloring and skin toning. Subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram. I'll see you soon, and adios.